Why gay men get turned on by anger. Hey guys, Michael Pizzulo here, psychotherapist in West Hollywood. So I want to talk to you about a concept called eroticized rage and explain what it is and specifically how it applies to gay men. So basically the concept is that if you have anger that's been suppressed, that the anger finds a way to, become expressed somehow, and that sex and sexuality can become a way to do that. And the general idea basically is that there are people who either internalized a lot of anger and rage when they were growing up in their developmental years that they were unable to express. And so sex became a way to connect that anger, to feel powerful, to feel dominant, or to experience someone else doing those things to them. And the reason I think this is so important for gay men is because gay men internalize quite a lot of secrecy, shame, and often anger about sexuality specifically during those developmental years. So I think what we find a lot is that sexuality becomes a way for gay men to experience anger and also to feel powerful yet again. So what it can look like is basically being drawn to scenarios that are rife with control, domination, again, either doing that to someone else or them doing it to you, using sex as a way to humiliate or to get back at someone, being turned on by people who are mean to you, going after people who are kind of rejecting or figures who feel kind of powerful or even kind of toxic and corrosive. So all those sorts of things can become erotic. And we see this often played out in, porn and different scenarios and whatnot. So this isn't a new thing, but some people become more captivated by it than others. And their sexuality becomes really taken up by experiencing rage in an erotic way. And the reason I think this is important to note is that, all different forms of, human expression can be fused into sexuality and can be enjoyed between consenting adults, and all of that's good and fine. However, when it comes to eroticized rage, you want to be careful that it's not pulling you into something that's actually destructive to yourself. So if you're drawn to dynamics where you get to experience a lot of rage in an erotic way, you want to make sure that you're also not inviting people into your life who are, abusive or violating or crossing boundaries, and that, you're not doing that to someone else, inadvertently. So you want to be aware that you're not accidentally allowing something that's infusing your arousal to take you on a road that ends up being destructive to you and then maybe even to someone else. And this can also lead to, using substances to enjoy these types of experiences and so on and so forth. So just something that you want to be aware of. And I think the way to really deal with this is not to say, that you can't enjoy any of these more, kinky or risky kind of thrilling sexual scenarios, but to first really think about yourself and think about, what am I trying to express through these experiences? Do I have any anger that I've been holding on to that's been, repressed or unexpressed that may be showing up in a sexual way? So that's what you really want to go back to, is think about, do I have any unmet needs? Am I angry about something? Am I angry at my, parents for things that they did? Or you want to kind of go down those lines and think about, is there something unexpressed that's driving me in becoming infused into sexuality in an erotic way? The thing that's complicated about psychology in general, and particularly sexuality, is that it's not a clear cause and effect that, A leads to B or this causes that. It's really abstract and amorphous and it gets kind of complex and confusing. So don't expect it to look like a perfect roadmap. But if you find that you're really, really compelled and drawn and excited about, kind of rage-fueled erotic activities, it might be that you have some unprocessed anger, and this can be just a way to know that about yourself and, a way to really learn to grow. With all the content that I do, like, my goal is to not offer anyone any kind of judgment or shaming, quite the opposite, but to really help people think about themselves and be curious about themselves in a neutral but also like loving and compassionate way as possible, particularly for gay men, because I think anyone can become excited by erotic rage and eroticized rage, but I think that gay men, because of all the layers that have been added onto our sexuality through our upbringing, messages that we received, I think it can be easier for us to get captivated by these types of dynamics. And also too, I should have mentioned this, that our culture also makes it much more permissive and accessible to do these types of things, you know, to go to bathhouses or to go to rest stops or whatever. So it's easier to, you know, act these things out, which may be a good thing. It may be nice that you get to try things out and then maybe you move on, but also too that there's more, I think, ability and more access that you can get sort of taken away on a journey that maybe you don't mean to. So I hope all this made sense. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you feel like you identify with any of this, you know, eroticized rage or, you know, sexualized anger or any of this stuff. Curious what you think. As always, please subscribe to my channel if you like this type of content. And if you want to talk to me directly about working with me as a coach or a therapist, you can check out the booking link in the description. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.